So what is it that makes Hinault such a magnificent rider?
I think he's, you know, one of probably the best athlete I've ever seen in my life in terms of capabilities and that. When you see him in a time trial, like in the Strasbourg time trial, and he takes 2.5 minutes out of the second place man, you know, he's one of the best athletes in the world. And to win his 5th Tour de France at 31 years old is, you know, it's incredible.
We hear so many rumours, Greg, about the friendship between you and Bernard. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not so good. Exactly how do you get on? And are you disappointed not being able to win the Tour?
Oh, we get along quite well. I mean, I've raced with him, this is my 4th year. The day of the Pyrenees stage, there was a big misunderstanding between my director and that, not giving me not communicating with the amount of time we had on the break, the group from behind. And you know, I was upset that night not knowing what I should do. But as it turned out, I think it was the best tactic what we did, because Stefan Roche was riding extremely well the next day. And had he stayed with me, and we took maybe took 4 or 5 minutes out of Hinault, he would have been very close to winning the Tour de France. And the main thing was that La Viclaire wins the Tour.
So the teammates who began as friends, had a day as adversaries, now enjoy Greg's historic victory together.
He'll be the hero because he's French, and this is a French race. I think I've had to. I never once attacked Bernard Hinault, never once. And had I attacked him, had I done stuff, raced aggressively, I think I could have taken more time out of him. I think I could have had 3 or 4 minutes over him. Yes.
You could attack him on Alpe d'Huez?
We agreed not to. That's what was most disappointing for me, was that in Alpe d'Huez, we had agreed to ride together to the top. He would win the stage. And then afterwards he said, well, it's not over. We still have to do the time trial. Had he told me that at the bottom of the hill, I would have attacked him, and I honestly can say I would have beat him by a minute at the top, maybe more.
But he's not only the hero because he is French, but also because he was taking risks in this tour.
He had to take risks.
And you were always following Zimmermann on the Granon.
I'd never attacked it because I could never attack Bernard. It wasn't allowed for me.
Zimmermann on the Granon, you could attack Zimmermann.
No, I couldn't.
Why not?
Bob told me not to. It didn't serve any purpose, yeah. Zimmermann was very strong, too, at that time, but I could have rode with him. I couldn't have dropped Zimmermann, but I could have rode with him. And if I had rode with him, I would have taken another 30 seconds to a minute out of Hinault.
So there is some bitterness in your words, because victory will be for you.
There's bitterness because the journalists in France and Europe do not understand what I've had to go through to win this Tour de France. They think that everything that Bernard has done has been to help me. It's been the contrary. It's been for him to try to win the race himself. And luckily, I've been the most consistent on the mountaintop finishes. It was to my favor because I'm a better finisher in the mountains than him. But I think with the 2 time trials and the mountaintop finishes, you also have to remember Bernard and Poe would have never taken 4.5 minutes out had it not been for me. Had I been on another team, I would have chased him. He would have never gotten 4.5 minutes. And he would have lost time in Super Bagnères. He would have lost time in Granon. The last time in Alpe d'Huez.
Victory will be for you, but the glory will be for him.
I don't think so. Why do you say that?
In Europe, journalists.
I hope it changes. I hope their opinion changes after this time trial.
It would have better to beat him last year, maybe, because you were the strongest last year.
That's what I say. I mean, I have to say that it's been very confusing because he had promised after last year. I really felt that he would keep his promise, and I felt now at 25 years old I could have had 2 Tour de France victories in my legs.
4 for Hinault.
What?
4 for Hinault, 2 for you. It could have been that.
Right, and everybody got carried away that he had to win his 6th. But you have to remember that he would never even won his 5th had I not been there.
It was a very difficult situation for you. It will be easier next year without Bernard Hinault.
Yeah, I still like Bernard, and I think that he's the greatest cyclist to ever live. I think he's the best rider that I've ever seen, have ever met. It's terrible that we had to come to such a conflict in such a race. But I mean, that's the way life goes. I mean,
but he says, I have helped LeMond. I have kept my promise.
He said that?
He said that.
Well, it's easy for him to say that because everything he's done is failed, and it's always been easy for him to say, well, I was doing it for Greg LeMond. But in reality, I feel that he was doing it for himself.
He staying always your friend or not?
Yes. I just want people to know that when I win this race, I don't want people to think that Bernard Hinault gave it to me because it was far from it. I want people to realize that I won this race fair and square, that I'm the winner of the Tour de France.